The following program contains views that are not those of WVTC, iNetworks Communications, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or financial supporters.
It sounds good. Bishop sounds good. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am Edward Jones IV. This is
Latanya Jones.
And this is the Family First podcast, where we're talking about marriage, relationships, children, and sometimes just
nothing at all.
A little bit of nothing at all. We are back. We are back.
Yes.
It seems like forever. It seems like forever.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of weeks ago, we were in South Carolina. We you couldn't tell too much. You know, we were shooting it from our hotel room in South Carolina when Jonathan was graduating from basic training.
Yeah.
And that was a blast. We had a blast, but we could not leave you guys out. So we shot from there, and then last week we had to do a previously viewed show because we weren't feeling too good, kind of a little bit under the weather. And so we want to make sure that we were here for you on today. But it feels good to be back in the WVTC studio.
Yes.
And I am ready to talk about some stuff. You ready to talk about some stuff?
Yeah, what are we talking about?
You're so pretty.
Thank you.
You're so pretty. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Today, we're talking about boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries. Somebody
That's
say
a good one.
Boundaries. Teresa, so good to see you. So good to see you, Teresa.
Yeah.
So boundaries, and we're talking about boundaries and in our relationships. We're talking about keeping folk out of your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping folk out of your relationships, especially people that have shown themselves to be faulty in their own relationships.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Have you ever had, that friend that is always giving marital advice and they've never been married?
Mm.
They've been left at the altar or never even got an engagement ring. Or, that brother that says, man, you are, you whipped, you henpecked, and they wishing that they had somebody to peck them. So we're going to talk about boundaries, and those boundaries can be your friends. They could be family members, children. You got to have boundaries with your children as well. So how's that sound about talking about today?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So you are the resident clinician. You're the one that got the degrees in psychology and stuff. But what do you think about healthy boundaries in terms of relationship? We talk about it a lot in individual boundaries and things of that nature. You don't allow people to do certain things. You give people boundaries and stuff. But in terms of relationship boundaries, what do you think about that?
Well, having boundaries in your relationship is important because it's healthy, especially when you are a new relationship and you're starting off and you're trying to build a relationship with one another. Really being able to maintain those boundaries with, say, friends or family members or whoever is really healthy for building a good relationship. It's going to help that relationship thrive and grow. And so it's important. And I don't think oftentimes we really think about it, about boundaries and establishing that and thinking that it's necessary, but it is absolutely necessary if you want your relationship to be healthy, if you want your relationship to grow. Because often what happens, and I know we've kind of been through this, well, why y'all together?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have their own thoughts and ideas of who they want you to be with, and
Yeah.
so they'll tell you. And if you don't have a healthy boundary set up, you'll listen to that stuff, and that stuff will lead you to make decisions and choices that are not good for your relationship.
Right.
So it's so important early on in the relationship that, okay, first of all, our relationship is between you and I,
Right.
not you, I, and him and her and them.
Right. Man, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And we try not to be super churchy on this podcast because we just talk about real stuff. But I can't get away from in Genesis where God puts Adam and Eve together, and he says that you will leave your mother and father and cleave until your own spouse. In a way, that is setting
Healthy
boundaries.
Yes.
You leave your mom, you leave your mama, you leave your daddy them, you leave your cousins them, and keep people out of your relationships. And it's difficult sometimes because sometimes these people, you've known these other people longer than you've known your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever you want to, wherever stage of relationship you're in. Because you think about it, if you have cousins, say you got cousins, you was raised with your cousins since you've always known your cousins to your whole life. Now you've met this great woman, or you think that you've met this great woman or this great man, and so you've known them 3 months, and you've known your relatives your entire life. And so the natural inclination would be to listen to a trusted voice that you listen to your entire life. But we have to learn how to say, you know what, I can't listen to you. And the biggest thing, because the biggest fear is the I told you so. And so we listen to those things, but that is something that I believe that is so very important, that we leave and cleave to one another. And so that leaves less room for outside voices.
Right. And I think too that it's great to have good people around you that love you and they support you. And I think that's something that we're blessed to have.
Yeah.
We're blessed to have great people around us who love us and support us and are there for us in our marriage.
Right.
And they are our number one cheerleaders on the sidelines. And it's great when you have people like that. But I think the great thing about it is that they understand boundaries,
Right.
and they don't put themselves into our relationship. And I think it's a fine line, but I think some people it's hard to kind of draw that fine line between having people, because it's good, you want people to support your relationship and say, oh yeah, y'all look good together and things like that, right? But then you definitely got to watch it when you had those negative Nellies,
right?
The ones who always got something to say and it's not anything good. And people who just, I just think this is what you should do,
right? And I think,
sort of thing.
And I think it's so good to see you, Sister Duckworth, Georgia Duckworth. Good to see you online, and so the boundary. The thing is, people will only do what you allow them to do.
Yeah.
And people will go as far as you invite them in.
Right.
And sometimes so it's not up to the other people to set and abide by the boundaries. It's up to us to give the boundaries and say, okay, this is as far. And the way that we do that is we limit the information that we
Mhm.
give people.
Mhm.
Because if you give the information, then you've given them something to talk about.
Mhm.
You've given them something to interact with.
Mhm.
So, and the problem with inviting people in, especially in the boundaries, is usually shows up in the midst of conflict.
Right.
When husbands and wives or people in relationship, they're in conflict, and then we go tell everybody about it.
Right.
But once we tell everybody about it, then that gives them the permission to inject themselves
Mhm.
into it.
Mhm.
But the problem is they don't have the relationship with each other like with us like we do.
Right.
So we might have our knockdown, drag out fight, and if you go tell everybody, then all your people mad at me.
Right. Right.
Because their allegiance is to you.
Right.
And so, you done told, man, he done left the toilet seat up again. I don't know what is his problem, and all this
Yeah.
other stuff. And then your crew, y'all, they on 10.
Right.
And so they look at me now and their nose is all turned up. And it's, I don't know why she ever wanted to be with you to begin with. You were
Right.
a chronic toilet lever upper and all and all of that stuff. And then when you realize,
Right.
man, it wasn't even all that bad. I made a big stink over nothing. And you good and we good. We making up and
But
we
they
start
ain't forgot it.
but they haven't forgotten. They still mad.
They like that Negro always leaving up the toilet seat.
And
I ain't
so
fooling with
so when we don't have balance,
Yeah.
and we don't have those boundaries. If we invite people in after we have, and I made light of a situation, but obviously there are times where our conflicts could be bigger and stronger than that. And if we pull other people in, when we have a situation where we have that, and then there's forgiveness or there is resolution to our situation and we're moving forward, other people are still dealing with that.
And I say the thing that just comes to mind is you have to use wisdom.
Yeah.
You have to use wisdom because again, there might be a situation where you need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Right? You got to make sure that if you find yourself,
you better take it to Jesus first.
Well, that's definitely something that needs to happen. But if you do have to go to a physical person,
go to a therapist.
But make sure you know the right person that you're going to, right? And you have to understand that, you can't go to everybody. You just can't. You can't go to everybody. You can't go to the whole friend crew, but you have to go to someone who you know that you can trust, who you know that your business is not going to be out in the street, and who you know that loves both of you enough.
Right.
It's not that you just my girl, but loves and care for both of you enough to say, hey, I just want to be a sounding board. I just want to, help in any way that I can to help build up, but not tear down.
Yeah, that's so important. And like you said, Cheryl, you have to be careful who you tell your business to.
Have to.
Because people, I hate to say this, but everybody that's with you
is not with you.
Right. And everybody in your circle, in your circle is not in your corner. And we have to be very, very careful. I saw the comment that because people are they're devising strategies to make, to separate you from one another. And I say it in jest, and I say it in light, but we have to understand that I'm very, very careful of who I would ever tell anything, because as a husband, my job is to cover you.
Yeah, exactly.
My job is to cover you, is to make sure that you are always seen in the best light. And so I cannot, you cannot be in the best light if everybody knows that you ain't no good, or if I'm telling people that you are no good. And then if I keep telling people that you are no good, and then I keep going back to you, then that's showing that I got some type of mental instability as well. And so what we have to do is we take things to the Lord. And I'm not saying be secretive. And there's certain things, if somebody's going upside your head, yes.
Yeah.
Tell
Exactly.
somebody.
Exactly.
If somebody's been abusive and things of that nature, that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I just wanted to be clear that I'm not advocating living in silence when you are abused or living in isolation. There's a difference between having boundaries with individuals and being in isolation.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so we talk to people, but we have to limit. I really believe that we limit what we share with our friends, especially, watch this, especially our unsaved friends.
Yeah, and so I was gonna say this, and this is to the women.
Yes.
To the women. Because I've experienced this, I've seen this happen.
Talk to the women.
Where you get mad at the man and he did something, you upset, and you going off and you venting, and again, I think it's important that you have a safe place where you can vent, where you can blow off steam. But we got to get to a point to where when we angry, our first phone, it can't be that we gonna get on the phone and then talk about our spouse and all the wrong that he did and how ticked off we are about it. We got to stop that. Because it's not like what benefit. It might make you feel good. But right. How does and it might make you feel good for those few minutes to get it off your chest. But how has that benefited your relationship? It hasn't. And like I said, like he said, his job is to cover me. My job is to cover him. So if I'm on the phone with you talking about how, he did this or he left the toilet seat up and I'm mad. I mean, now I didn't make my husband look bad. And really what people don't realize what you're doing is you're making yourself look bad.
Talk today.
Because we won.
Yeah.
So if I'm talking about you, I'm making myself look bad because I chose you.
That's right.
We won.
That's right.
So we have to seriously rethink that our first our first inclination to just vent, to be angry, to be mad, it can't be to pick up the phone and just pour it on somebody else. We got to take that time by ourselves. We angry. I know this is something that I've done in the past to where if I just like, oh, I'm mad, I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna walk around in Target or Walmart or just sit with myself first and just allow and hey, I will pray, Lord, I'm angry. And every time I go to God in prayer, I'm angry. This man that you didn't gave me made me mad.
Yeah.
But it's funny how when I do that, how God will show me myself. It's something that I need to fix and change within myself. So sometimes we just have to know how when we angry, because that's when those boundaries get broken.
Yeah.
Is when we are dealing with issues and conflict and we just don't know. We just so mad and we so mad. We want people on our side. We want people to validate our anger, to validate what we said or done.
Yeah.
And so that's why we will pick up the phone and call, because we want people to be, yeah, girl, you did right. You told them right. We want that amen corner.
Yeah.
When we wrong as two left shoes.
And especially once again, if they themselves,
right.
I have a law that I abide by, that I will never vent to someone below me.
Mm.
If I'm going to vent, or if I need to talk to somebody, I'm never going to talk to somebody in a status or a level beneath me.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm having a marriage or a relationship issue, I'm not going to talk to somebody that has not achieved that level. That's somebody that's single.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to talk about, if my kids are getting on my nerves, I'm not going to talk to somebody that don't have no kids.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm dealing with, we have kids in college, so if we got college issue stuff, I'm not going to talk to somebody that only has a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to talk about a situation beneath the situation. If I have a problem in ministry, I don't talk to somebody that has never pastored a church.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to talk to somebody that has only has a license. I'm going to talk to my pastor. It always goes up, either to your peers
Mm-hmm.
or someone above you.
Mm-hmm.
And in our relationships, I believe it should be the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Sisters, do not go to your single friends talking about your husband. They want your husband. Oh, really? You say he don't never come home where he be at. Oh,
Right.
He always at the gym. Oh, he always at the gym. You didn't find out she didn't got a membership at Lifetime Fitness. So be careful. You are giving the enemy ammunition.
Yeah.
Brother, same thing. Don't talk about your wife. Don't do it. And so we are always to make our partner, like I said, we're one.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose you.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to make it work. We got to make it happen. And so those are with friends. And with family members, it's the exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't marry your mama.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't marry your sister. I didn't marry your brother. I didn't marry your cousin. I married you.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've learned how to keep people out of our relationships. You know what? You said, pray for us. I don't have to give you no details.
Right.
So that is that is something that we can do if we want to let people in, or to if we're looking for support, to just pray.
Mm-hmm.
I fussed at Ed today. Just pray for me,
Mm-hmm.
or pray for him, because
Mm-hmm.
he's the one that got fussed at.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to, go into all the details of why, because he left the dirty clothes on the side of the bed.
Right.
So we have to learn how.
But which family members, again, to say that to, right? I mean, you're not going to say, pray when they don't pray themselves.
That's right.
So, I mean, again, knowing your family, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Are those type of people that that pray anyway, that's a part of their regular life, then okay. That's something that's good to say. If they don't, I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say nothing.
Wouldn't say anything.
Don't say nothing.
Wouldn't say anything, but that's just something, again, knowing, your family members, you know who the ones who are supportive, they loving, and you can say something to, and it's gonna be all good.
Yeah.
But the ones who you can't.
Exactly.
And that's all right.
Right.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
And so that goes for family, that goes for friends,
yeah,
and especially frenemies.
Mm-hmm.
And you know who the frenemies are, because these same frenemies talk about your other friends to you.
Mm-hmm.
They quick to gossip. They quick to bring you to all the dirt from what the other friend had told them.
Mm-hmm.
So if they bringing you mess from what the other person said, what's going on in their lives, they're gonna do the same thing about you.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to use wisdom in who we talk about. And I hate to say it, but we even have to watch the church folk
Mm.
that we share stuff with.
Not everybody saved.
Everybody in the church ain't saved.
Mm.
And so just because they got a good shout, just because they got a good buck, they even though they can throw a good Baptist fit, even though they got a nice church hat,
Yeah.
even though they got one of them tongues that you wish that you could, speak in, even they might have all of that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not the person to talk to. It's
Gotta
going to
use
take
wisdom.
wisdom to do that.
You got to use wisdom.
And Georgia Duckworth says that family might be the worst to tell your business to. It's true.
Yeah.
It is so true,
Mhm.
because a family member has an allegiance to the family member. So, like I said, if I'm hanging off the side of a cliff, and you hanging off the side of the cliff, and your mama is holding us both, and she's getting weak in one arm, I already know her allegiance is to her baby that she gave birth to. She gonna let go of me and she gonna hold you. And that's a real, and that's not
Yeah.
an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah.
So if you call her
Mm-hmm.
with an issue
Mhm.
that we're having, she automatically gonna take your side because you're her baby.
Mm-hmm.
And she gonna think, she's what this man done did to my baby. And now she gonna look at me with the evil eye until Jesus come back.
Mm-hmm.
And after we have reconciled,
Mm-hmm.
still in her mind will be, but he hurt my baby once.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When
Yeah.
you gonna, is he gonna do it again?
Yeah.
And that leads to that suspicion, and it causes something that shouldn't be there.
Yeah. 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 Want a healthy relationship, you gotta set healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
You have to. And it can be hard in the beginning, but it's for the benefit of the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that old song back in the day? Your mom's in my business. She's in my business. She see that. She's trying to end this. But see, people look for reasons.
Yeah.
Especially, let me say this too. If you're in relationships, let me say this: misery loves company.
Yeah.
So you have men and women who are not in relationships, and they're envious of they want you to not be in one because they're not in one. They're miserable. It loves company. So because what happens is when you're in a good relationship, they don't have nobody else to hang out with.
Yeah.
The crew.
Yeah. That's very true.
They get mad. They get mad now that you're doing couple stuff.
Yeah.
You're not doing, you're not
stuff with them.
Yeah, you're not doing stuff
you
with
done
them.
left me out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are friends I don't know who this is for. There are people that may be trying to sabotage your relationship.
Mm.
And let me say this too. Since we're talking about boundaries, and this isn't just about telling information, married people,
Mm-hmm.
don't be bringing a whole lot of single people around your spouse.
Mm.
Boundaries. I don't know who that was for. That's for somebody. That's for somebody out there in TV land, on WVTC, on YouTube, on Facebook. But don't be parading a whole lot of single people around your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries.
Protect your relationship.
Protect
Mm-hmm.
your relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Find some married people to do married stuff with.
Yeah.
Find some other people that are in productive relationships to do things with.
And not just married folk.
Yeah, that's what.
But you know, but you won't marry folk that have good good marriages. I think again we're blessed in that area that we know some good folk, married folk that have been married for years. That we get to hang around at times. And I think that's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to have that, especially when you are in a new relationship. I remember when we first got married, I was like, oh my God, hadn't seen any good, healthy relationships around me. So being able to have that is such a blessing because then okay, it's normal that you can disagree and have an argument and still love each other and things like that. Like it's okay because again, you have its support. But that's important again in establishing good boundaries. Have some good, healthy people around you,
and that is so important. And they will help you if you have good people around you. They will help you set those boundaries
because they got good boundaries.
Because they have good,
and they not gonna cross any boundaries because they have good boundaries and they understand that.
It's so important, and I believe, and part of this other boundary too is don't let anybody say anything negative about your spouse.
Oh no.
About your mate. In seriousness or in jest. No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna tell them jokes. You're not gonna say anything negative about my spouse. And I'm befuddled how you felt the comfort to even say that to me and not check you. But because some of us are, we're so friendly with our friends, and we let stuff slide, And so once again, though everybody should know that you are a protector of your spouse. And so that means boundary says you don't tell everything bad, but then also you don't tell everything good. Be wary of a friend that says, "Man, I want a man just like yours," or I want where you find her at? I want a woman just like her. They looking those boundaries. So, man, don't even joke like that.
Now, you had brought up earlier in just talking about boundaries and also talking about kids. We've talked about friends, we've touched on family, but when it comes to kids, boundaries, what does that look like for you?
Man, I got boundaries with my kids. First of all, simple stuff. If my door is closed, if my door is open, you don't walk into my room unless I call for you. If I'm in my room, if I'm in our room and the door is open, you still don't come in there unless I call for you to come in the room. You knock, the door can be open. You knock before you enter. You just don't, hey, there's somebody running up. No. We have to have boundaries with our children. We have boundaries with them and how they speak. Your mama is not your friend. I'm not your friend. And it sets up an expectation. I'm not. And you're not going to tell your mama on me, and you're not going to tell me on your mama.
Right.
You're not going to put it's not pitting one versus the other.
Right.
There are boundaries, and you learn. Now we might joke, but we
Right.
joke with the kids. Oh, tell me what your mama do to you? You crying? Or your mama, what she do to you? But we have boundaries. Everybody knows their place. They know their roles.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about some boundary stuff that you do with the girl. Because with girls, it's difficult. Well, more difficult because they get into the place where they all in your
Well,
stuff.
I was just thinking, and you just said this, how, not pitting one against the other, because when you have kids and they grow into that teenage stage, that is something that you deal with. And I think we had kind of dealt with that at one point where, they'll run and tell you something, but not necessarily tell me, or ask you for something because they know that you might say yes and then I might say no, sort of thing. And so having to say, check it out, like we won. So if I say no, I mean, he gonna say no. So you don't even have to ask. Like we a team, we're a team here. And so once we establish that, then we didn't have any more issues with that. It was okay. I can't do that, man.
Yeah. I tried. It's not like they have tried. We got 5 of them, and they all tried.
They tried, but then they realized, okay, well, if I go to him, he's gonna say the same thing that she says, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, we're not gonna try that. And so I think that that's important to be able to, again, that's just another way, healthy boundaries. For us, just in parenting,
yes,
and how we parent and guide them, that look, we on the same team here. We on one accord. What you say is what I say,
right,
and vice versa. So they know that it's well, I'm gonna just go to mama because I know what daddy's gonna. No, you gonna get the same answer.
That's right.
Either way it goes.
It's and when they come to me, it's always, what did your mama say? Because that's gonna be my first, because I know you didn't ask me first,
right?
And so that's the first thing. It's interesting. It was something with all of the kids, they're all different and they've gone through their stages. And it's funny now that the youngest two, they're 12. They'll be teenagers in December. Lord have mercy. But they're starting to go. They're going through that phase.
Yeah.
And with Jocelyn, we had a situation where she did something where she had no business doing, and you gave her the option. You say, do you want me or do you want daddy to deal with it?
Yep.
And she chose me. You know why? Because she's a daddy's girl. All the girls are daddy's girls. And she was thinking that she was going to get away with it, or at least she was going to bat an eye at me or something, or cry, or give me one of them big old hugs that she loves giving me because she's daddy's girl. And
she was sadly mistaken.
Because you're not going to disrespect my wife. Because. And so this is another thing too, and this, I don't know why I'm saying this, because for parents of children, please do not allow your children to put a rift between you and your relationship. Do not allow children to do that, because let me say this. If you do your job well as a parent, your children will grow up and leave. And it will be just the two of you. If you allow your children to break up your relationship, your children still gonna leave and you're gonna be by yourself.
Yeah.
So I don't know who that was for. That you're dealing with situations like that. have boundaries with your children, uh, and don't allow, and especially in blended families,
Mm-hmm.
have those boundaries. Don't allow bonus children to speak to the incoming new spouse any type of way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It ain't no, you ain't my
Yeah.
daddy, you ain't my mama.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
set those boundaries, and those things have to be talked about uh immediately. Maybe,
Yeah.
and so, and in situations like that, this is what I would recommend. Thank you, Holy Ghost. Uh, that I recommend, because we see more and more blended families than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
We see it. We've seen it for a multitude of reasons. I We always talk about premarital counseling for
Mm-hmm.
the man and the woman.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that there's premarital counseling that needs to be done where the children are involved,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and with a professional.
Yeah.
You know, because if you think of it in this way,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you're baking a cake, there are all these different ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't take the flour and the milk and the eggs and just throw them into a bowl and say, "Look, I got a cake."
Mm-hmm.
And throw it in the oven and it's a cake. No, those different ingredients have to be delicately placed,
Mm-hmm.
when and mixed, and it takes time and all that stuff. And a lot of our relationships, uh, I love you, you love me, and we just know that we're together, and we just say we'll make everything else work. But we
And
got
don't
these,
consider
and
everybody
we're
else.
not
Yeah.
considering children
Yeah.
and how they're adapting or not adapting, or how these children are going to respond and act and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just like you don't throw all these ingredients and expect a cake, you cannot just add all of these ingredients and expect having a functional family unit without putting in the work and the time to
Mm-hmm.
talk about these things.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen when the first time you say, "You ain't my daddy,
Mm-hmm.
you ain't my mama"?
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know and not just for the child, for the parent to make it, in their mind.
And like you said, it takes time. It takes time, but it's so worth it. I think when you take the time to really show children about boundaries, you realize that you're teaching them.
Mhm,
You're teaching them something
mhm,
about, this is why you have healthy boundaries in your relationships for yourself, that boundaries are
mhm,
important. And by us being able to model that, we're teaching our children this is how you have healthy
mhm.
boundaries, because now when they get in their relationships,
Yeah,
right? Now they understand, because my mom and dad, they were serious about
yeah,
being in a,
yeah,
when in a room, and we knock on the door before we go in,
yeah.
and so on, and things like that. So now they're going to have healthy
Good
boundaries
boundaries.
because they've seen it.
Yeah, that's some great questions. That what if those children are adults?
Mm-hmm.
What And I believe the same thing goes if that child is 2 or 22.
Yeah.
Um, and if that child is 22, that 22-year-old need to go get his or her own business.
Mm-hmm.
I've I, I've raised you, and you don't. You go create your own household. This is my household.
Mm-hmm.
You respect me, and Pastor Mabry says right. Adult children should still respect your spouse, and
Absolutely.
so um, um, you don't have to call me. If you're an adult child, you ain't got to call me mama. You ain't got to call me daddy. You ain't got to call me all that
It
stuff.
still be
Yeah,
respect.
but you still are respectful. This is my wife.
Mm-hmm.
This is my husband.
Mm-hmm.
If we say this all the time, um, even if you don't respect the person,
Mm-hmm.
respect the seat,
Mm-hmm.
respect the position.
Mm-hmm.
And so just think about it, even in our society today, there are a lot of people that think that Donald Trump is the devil's son-in-law. Okay. So you don't necessarily respect the person, but you still have to respect the seat of the presidency.
Right.
And so it's the same way in our relationship. You might think that your mama married the worst man this side of heaven, and you could be right, but you respect the seat. You know, if you think that they bad, you know what? Don't go over to their house.
Pray for them.
Pray for him. Don't go over to his house. You know, but you still respectful. If you go to the house, say hello. You greet them. You are respectful. Or just have mama come to your house. You know.
Yeah. Don't be angry.
But you can't. You can't have those types of interactions because it won't be well. And a lot of our relationships, we've skirted those boundaries. We talk to people any kind of way. I don't care if that's your mama. I don't care if that's your, I don't care if that's your, no, I don't care if that's your wife. I don't care if that's, so we have to learn how to respect the seat, even if we don't respect the person. You got anything else to add?
No, this was really good. I pray that something was said that was a blessing to someone out there. I hope this was helpful. I just think that this is one of those things that it can be hard, but it can be done. It's necessary.
Yeah.
It's important, especially if you are married. You have to be able to establish healthy boundaries. You have to. That's important.
And if people won't accept your boundaries, they're not for you anyway.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
And if they love you, they will understand. If they're on your side, they will understand.
Yeah.
And people are not going to stop loving you. They're not going to stop liking you if you don't involve them in all of your business. And so, and if they do, like I said, they were never for you to begin with. And so I guess we'll put a pin in it.
Absolutely.
Right there. That's where we'll put a pin in it. All right. Well, we're going to put a pin in it right here. And this was great.
Yes.
And so I'll just say that we'll be back next week. But if you want to see us before next week, come and see us at Grace Missionary Baptist Church. You got the Grace shirt, Grace bling on.
I got Grace bling on today.
Come see us at Grace Missionary Baptist Church every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. sharp at 16650 Crawford Avenue in Markham, Illinois. We are transforming lives and building the kingdom. So until next time, I am Edward Jones IV. This is
LaTanya Jones.
And this is the Family Phrst podcast. We'll see you next week.
Amen.
Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of WVTC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, WVTC, Allsip Chicago, and iNetworks Communications.